Ring-a-ding-ding. I'm back. Alright, so today we're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. So if you haven't read all of Jujutsu Kaisen, that's right, read, I'm discussing the manga, you're about to get spoiled. So get the fuck out of here, you little scamp. Okay, time's up, you're getting spoiled. It's being described as, quote, one of the worst endings to a manga yet by people who can't read on Reddit and TikTok. Now you might say that, oh, Mr. Netherpen, you're being unfair. These people can't read. Bear in mind that I'm an American. Obviously, my internet feed is very American-centric. The average American has a reading comprehension of less than what a 6th grader should have. These people can't read. Anyway, we're here to talk about why Jujutsu Kaisen's ending was great, actually, and if you disagree, go ahead, dislike, leave the hate comment, and keep watching. Now, an important thing to note about my interpretation of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is the foundation of a lot of this essay, is that I view Yuji and Sukuna as two sides of the same coin. Two different people who represent the ideals of humanity, and I can make a full video on this, going in more detail if there's interest, but that's for later. Basically, Sukuna is a calamity, right? He is a walking disaster. He only cares about himself. He takes what he wants when he wants. He eats when he's hungry, and if he sees an eyesore, he kills it, right? Yuji is the opposite of this. Yuji is, caring deeply for others, and he's not the strongest, but he can and will keep getting back up, and that isn't always clean, that isn't always pretty. Sometimes he cheats, but he keeps going. He's not dominant and cocky the way that Sukuna is. I'm also going to briefly bring up Gojo here. I'm going to bring up most characters in this essay, but I'm bringing up Gojo now because it's kind of important. Gojo is kind of an in-between, whereas Sukuna is that unstoppable human greed and Yuji is the repressed, indomitable human spirit. Gojo is sort of an ideal amongst ideals. He's both strong and kind, which is something that doesn't mix a lot in Jujutsu Kaisen. So, Shinjuku Showdown, where everyone gets together and goes, let's beat the shit out of Sukuna, is really a test to see whose ideals are stronger within the context of the story. Now, Gojo as an ideal and as a weapon is not one that can stand up to the crushing weight and reality of humanity and the world's sheer evil, alright? Naive heroes that we all love in reality try and fail all of the time. If you're reading Jujutsu Kaisen and you're going, I really like this character, Gege has a gun pointed at your head, and it's pretty clear from the start that Gojo was never going to win this, even though we really, really wanted him to. Because you can't beat back the world's evils with strength. You can come close, but the world's evils will always persevere. When it seems like you finally won, the evils of the world will find a way to creep back in. Remind you of something? So, Gojo loses. Up next, Kashimo dives in, and I'm gonna say it bluntly, the dude is a fraud and his fans are annoying, but he does serve a narrative purpose, because Kashimo is not like the other characters in the sense that he represents some big ideal. Rather, he represents the search for some big ideal. He doesn't have one, and he yearns for the seeming superiority that Sukuna's ideals can give you. Kashimo's purpose within the narrative, then, is to show that yearning for the superiority of being on, quote, the other side, of being with the bad guys, can and will get you killed all the same, regardless of how strong you think you are, or how cool you think it is. Kashimo does die, but he gets enlightened. You can have solitude and strength, or you can have people and weakness, according to Sukuna, and whether or not that's actually right is going to be discussed later in the essay, so keep watching. Also, before I move on, I'm throwing more shade. Anyone who has Kashimo in their, top 5 most powerful characters list on Jujutsu Kaisen is just wrong. Alright? It's just wrong. Yeah, but he could turn into any kind of electricity. The dude clearly is not light speed. Let's look at the fucking story we're reading. Next to run the gauntlet against Sukuna is the assault force consisting of Yuji, Higuruma, Choso, Ino, and Kusakabe, although Higuruma is going to be who I'm focusing on at first. I find it really interesting that Higuruma is the person who's chosen to go in third. To me, it seems as though, after failing to beat Sukuna with pure strength, The Jujutsu High members hope to beat Sukuna with legality on a technicality. It keeps with the world's evils, right? Surely, if you can't beat back all of the bad things in the world with pure strength, you can try and keep them away with laws. But true to form, true to reality, laws don't stop bad things from happening, and laws don't stop Sukuna. Sukuna keeps going. All that the laws really do is take away the tools Sukuna has to, be evil. Next, Yuta comes in. Yuta is very similar to Gojo in the sense that they are both very strong characters, but what is different to them is motive. See, Gojo cares for the world. Yuta cares for his loved ones. Regardless, though, Yuta still winds up getting the ever-loving shit beaten out of him, just like everyone else that I've discussed, because personal loved ones also cannot save you from the world's crippling evils. And for a moment after Yuta gets his shit rocked, Yuji, who has been putting in the work this entire time shaking up Sukuna's souls, plural and literally, falters for a moment. And I think that's very fitting for what Yuji represents, because in the face of all of this crushing, overwhelming evil, it's hard not to stagger, but with assistance and guidance and care from a loved one, Yuji is able to eventually get back up. Now, of course, Jujutsu High did plan on, what if Yuta gets his shit rocked? What if he gets beaten the fuck out of? And Maki does enter the battlefield while Yuji is down for the count. And Maki is a very interesting case here because she's also, a sort of human strength and human will incarnate, just like Yuji is. But the difference is, unlike Yuji, she has completely cut herself off from this cycle of curses so that the entire cast finds themselves caught up and that they all draw power from. And for the first time ever, Maki has put Sukuna in a position where he has to prove something, because he has to prove that his ideals of suffering through curses in order to have strength is worthwhile. He does this and hits a black flash on Maki, so RIP my girl for now. And he also pieces up Ino, who doesn't really represent anything and is just another guy who's there putting in the work. Good on you, Ino. Sorry I can't talk about you more, but there's just really not a lot there. So now the only one who stands before Sukuna is Kusakabe. Kusakabe isn't a hero, and he isn't naturally gifted. He's yet another hard work and determination merchant. The only thing Kusakabe stands for is his own ideals, and he stands for them to the point that he told himself that if this fight looked too bad, he was just gonna dip, he was gonna run. But in the heat of the moment, when confronted by Sukuna, he stands his ground and decides to fight for what he thinks is right. Sukuna is amused by the antics. I mean, look at this guy's shit-eating little grin before he hits the ultimate power move that destroys the strongest character in the verse. Strongest modern character. I mean, I'm not really going to argue who's stronger, Sukuna or Gojo. Now, regardless, Kusakabe does lose the fight all the same. It speaks to the fact that personal values cannot stop the world's evils. Am I in a different shirt? Do I look a little different? None of your business. Next in the gauntlet are Laru and Miguel. Now, they aren't fighting to kill Sukuna, they're barely fighting at all. And what they are fighting for is in defense of an innocent being Wee Wee, which, what a ridiculous name for the kid. I mean, is it like Ui Ui? Either way, it just sounds like Dick. And they do okay, Miguel and Laru fighting for Dick the kid. They hold out long enough for Yuji, Maki, and Choso to return to the battlefield. And just as they start to make progress, Sukuna hits a black flash, which I'll have my little info dump about that soon, and takes out Laru. And to me, Miguel and Laru represent defense of the innocent, because that's the only reason they jumped in the first place, and their defeat, they don't die or aren't critically injured, but they are taken out of the fight. Their defeat represents the fact that defense of the innocent can't stop the world's evils, not by itself. Maki and Choso are both done in again by Sukuna hitting the black flash, and there we go. Maki and Choso are both done in again by Sukuna hitting a black flash, but fear not, with the help of Laru, just before he leaves the battlefield, Yuji is able to land his own Black Flash. Now, an important aside here, I'm going to talk about Black Flashes and why they're cool. On top of being an insanely OP attack, a Black Flash typically happens when a sorcerer is in the zone, which is to say that a Black Flash happens when a sorcerer has an ideal that they're fighting for, that they're so aligned with, that it borders on a sort of enlightenment. So a Black Flash is when you're feeling yourself so powerfully, when you're so raw, when you're fit so hard that the universe acknowledges it within Jujutsu Kaisen. This is an important note because Yuji hits 7 of them in a row in Sukuna, making him the most accomplished user of Black Flash known within Jujutsu Kaisen. Isn't that neat? Now, not only is that neat, it's so annoying that it gets Sukuna screaming in rage, like he's, getting obliterated by some sweat in Fortnite, and forces him to use an incomplete domain out of desperation and ego. He is mad that this motherfucker is still here. Now, if Black Flash represents alignment with an ideal that borders on enlightenment, domain expansion represents that which makes someone themselves entirely. A domain expansion is the physical manifestation of the ego and the self onto the physical world. Now, this is pretty terrifying because, Malevolent Shrine is the manifestation of the stand-in for the world's fucking evils, but Yuji's only thought during this domain is simply bear it, which not only goes hard as fuck, but by enduring that which makes Sukuna proves Yuji's ideals are worthy in this fight. Once again, though, Yuji almost doesn't make it as Sukuna decides, the whole cutting stuff isn't cool anymore, I'm just gonna burn it. But Choso steps in and sacrifices himself to save Yuji. Now, Choso is also very interesting in this. He's my motherfucking goat. Rest in peace, King. You will be missed. Because Choso represents familial love and Yuji's strength in others. Choso is with Yuji when he's at his lowest. He's with Yuji when Yuji needs him the most, and Yuji himself acknowledges this and says that's enough. But of course, others do eventually go away, so all of your strength can't be within them. And Choso's sacrifice is finished. Sukuna has burned everything down, and for just a moment, it looks like it's Yuji, all alone, versus Sukuna. Todo, however, the motherfucking goat of Jujutsu Kaisen, shows up just in time to let Yuji know that he saved as many people as he possibly could, and that they're just gonna have to keep fighting. With his best friend / brother by delusion by his side, Yuji regains his resolve and proceeds to start fighting again. Now, of course, Todo's fucking insane and can teleport people and is probably one of the only people we've seen benefit from a binding vow massively in Jujutsu Kaisen. Where just unlimited spam swap places, and this makes Yuji and Todo extraordinarily unpredictable and annoying as fuck for Sukuna to fight, so understandably this dude's getting pissed. And then of course, naturally, Yuji is so infuriated that he starts trying to rip Sukuna's organs out. Now at this point, Sukuna's once again like, alright, I'm done with this little shit, get the fuck out of here, and goes to pop a domain expansion again, until he sees Gojo. It isn't actually Gojo, though. It's Yuta in Gojo's body after Yuta's own body was unable to continue fighting. Yuta's return to the battlefield does still represent a fight for his loved ones, but it also represents being able to lower yourself to any level to win. See, Yuta's gone so far as to use a dead body as a weapon, like literally inhabiting a corpse, which is pretty fucked up if you think about it on any level other than, oh, holy shit, fist fight is cool. This move is so dastardly that it impresses Sukuna so much that for the only time in the entire series, he genuinely apologizes for underestimating Yuta Akotsu, because he didn't think that he could go that far. All the same, though, Sukuna wins, because stooping to the levels of evil that the world is capable of will not stop the world's evils. Once again, it's Yuji and Todo versus Sukuna, and once again, Yuji and Todo are beating the ever-loving shit out of Sukuna, to the point that Sukuna starts to puke up his fingers and lose the ability to control his own body. The dynamic duo then bring in Hana, whose ability is to eradicate evil objects. Hana starts to use this ability, and it does fuck all. Which makes sense, because things that are designed specifically to work against evil rarely ever really work in real life, and once you start to look past basic moral situations, the lines between good and evil get really weird and murky. But Sukuna, like me, doesn't have time for all of this weird philosophical debate, so Jacob's ladder, Hana's technique, is a literal beam of energy. It's just named ladder, after a biblical thing. This doesn't matter to Sukuna, though. He hears ladder and he thinks, I'm gonna fucking climb it. And he does, to reach Hana, in what is best described as an absolutely meme-worthy moment, because people predicted this happening as a joke the week before the chapter came out, and it was really funny to watch happen. So Sukuna boing, 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 boings up the ladder to get to Hana, and Todo goes, ah shit, he's about to obliterate this fucking chick, so he puts himself in the way and gets fucking the silly knocked out of him by Sukuna, which so hard that Hana secondhand gets the silly knocked out of her. So now Todo and Hana are out of the fight. Of course, Yuji is not letting this motherfucker breathe, so Yuji also jumped up Jacob's ladder, the literal beam of hellfire energy that melts things that are too evil, to beat the shit out of Sukuna, which is another really meme-worthy moment, because imagine jumping up a beam of energy just to find that this twerp you hate did the same thing to throw you and keep beating the shit out of you. Glorious. It's great. Sukuna, of course, seems pretty unfazed by this, and as a matter of fact seems to, start to recover, even managing to hit another black flash showing alignment with his ideals bordering on enlightenment. Just as things start to look very grim for Yuji, though, Yuji expands his own domain. In this domain of Yuji's, we see childhood memories from the place that Yuji used to live, and Yuji tries to reach out to Sukuna, to give Sukuna a chance to choose a different path than the murderous and straight-up evil one that he's chosen for millennia, and he does this by attempting to express that there is value and intrinsic meaning to every single moment a person might experience. Yuji truly hates Sukuna, and he has the capacity to kill him right now, but he still sees the value in people enough to attempt to give Sukuna a second chance. He acknowledges that in a different life, Yuji could have been Sukuna, and that they're not all that different. Sukuna, of course, is enraged by this display of humanity and pity, and he vows to kill literally everyone who isn't Yuji in his rage. Unfortunately for Sukuna, Yuji was able to reach Megami's soul, which means that now Sukuna's very body is starting to fight him, but that's fine. Regardless, Sukuna tries once more to expand his domain. Unfortunately, watch out, who's that? It's Nobara with the steel chair. Yes, that's right. Nobara Kugisaki, missing for actual years, is back from the dead to use her attack on the soul of Sukuna, because what Nobara's technique does is it makes your soul go wow, 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 which is really bad news if you're Sukuna. So she hits him with resonance, and this gives Yuji enough of an opening to make Sukuna become Sleep Kuna, alright? He puts the slump in that boy. He puts the fear of sleepy into that man. I'm gonna keep coming up with ways to say this. Now, Yuji has cut Sukuna's soul out of Megami, and this leaves Sukuna completely unable to fight. At last, by striking to the very core of what can make something so twisted and evil, Yuji is able to persevere against everything, against the evils of the world. In the end, Yuji tells Sukuna that you are me, that we are all born with curses, and what monster we choose to become is entirely up to luck. After Sukuna dies, in the end, when he's faced with humanity's mirror in death, Mahito, he's given the same choice that Gojo was. Go north and change, or go south and stay the same. Sukuna expresses that Yuji did get through to him, and that he would like to try again as someone else if he ever got the chance. That he was a monster because he was once a hurt child. Mahito, of course, is kind of pissed off to hear this and is like, "Oh, you've gone soft!" And Sukuna's like, "Of course I did. I lost." Which I think is pretty real of him. Gojo, of course, passes his dreams and cares for the world on to Yuji, who does his best to try and continue that, and most of the cast is okay in working to reshape the world for the better. Ultimately, I don't think any of the ways that the sorcerers took to try and beat Sukuna were wrong. As a matter of fact, I think when facing real-world evils, almost all of these ideals in combination can work, but that's just the thing, is they have to be in combination. everyone who fought Sukuna had to do what they did when they did it in order for this all to come together. This is a fight that 9 times out of 10, I mean 99 times out of 100 really, that the good guys lose, because we have to take into consideration the fact that most of the people Sukuna is fighting, he's trying to humor for his own amusement. The only person that Sukuna is like actually actively trying to kill most of the time is Yuji, which is great Yuji glaze when you really think about it. Yuji, my goat. I love you. As for the complaints, oh wait. Each of these characters' ideals and what they represent stands out so much as well too, that reading the fight, the Sukuna Gauntlet, the Shinjuku Showdown, in one go is truly phenomenal, and I really would recommend it. As for everyone who's like, oh, the story's full of plot holes, reading comprehension devil strikes again. For real, I would recommend like sitting down and reading the manga, not like TikTok slideshows where you're like, like, actually read the manga, because the only thing that I found somewhat plot holy was the US military plot, and even then at the end of the story we see characters planning on how to deal with the US government. It's just that the story ends after the main fight does. Overall, it's really sad to see Jujutsu Kaisen go, but I'm really glad I got to see it happen. Alright, we did it. We made it to the end of the video. Hi, it's me, the video guy, in a different fucking shirt again, because it's been multiple days of recording. You made it to the end of this video. If you liked the video, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and comment on it if you feel so inclined. And if you're new here, press that subscribe button, pretty please. Basically all the same shit that every YouTuber ever tells you to do. If you don't want to do that stuff, that's a-okay. If you didn't like the video, dislike the video, leave me a hate comment, maybe subscribe because you wanna. Just fucking with you. Do whatever, really. This spiel just comes at the end of the video because, like, sort of obligated to at this point. I've said it a million times, you've heard it a million times. I mean, we're all thinking about it a little. I made fun of some people in this video where I was like, people just can't read, and the Jujutsu Kaisen ending wasn't that bad. So I am fully expecting this to be a total shit show. So for real, thanks for making it to the end of this video. Even if you're gonna like call me several slurs in the comment section down below, really does mean everything. So with that, hi, I'm Another Pen. I've been on hiatus because I became a federal agent of sorts over the summer. Not entirely, that's over-glorifying it a little bit, but I've been busy. I'm gonna come back to uploading videos again because I've been meaning to do that for like the better part of 2 years now. And I think I'm finally catching a good swing with it. So, there's that. Pro tip, if you're ever at a party and there's an ex something there and they go, are we about to kiss right now? Say no. Say no. Anyway, now that I've slipped some personal lore updates into my video, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. So, thank you again. Great seeing you. I'll probably see you in the next one. Have a great time, and until next time, memento mori. Oh wait, my peace sign. No, my peace sign was behind my microphone, fuck! Have a great time, and until next time, memento mori.